Hello and welcome to a Co-Optic special where I, Andreas, will be hosting this one alone. I will be talking a little bit about my favorite genre, which is going to be strategy games. Like I said in our original introduction, I really like where you have to think games like Spellforce that are taking gaming to a new level by mixing strategy and RPG, very unique, hybrid, and some of the greatest gaming experiences I ever had. And I want to start right there because I feel like Spellforce is not getting the treatment it deserves. So you gotta keep in mind, if you're playing an RPG and you're leveling the crap out of your character, you're having all these skills and you have to make these important decisions. Do I want to go damage dealing as a warrior on the front? Do you want to go tank? Do you want more of a charismatic leader? Or you go glass cannon wizard and bang out all sorts of fireballs, thunderstorms, and similar things. Or obviously, you go the summoning route, be it in certain games, you can go elemental route or you can go necromancer route. And so that's what I love about Spellforce because even though it's a hybrid, it doesn't take elements from either side away. Your hero will be the most powerful unit in your army. And the great thing is, you can even have multiple heroes, so as NPCs. And you control each one of them completely as if they were hero units, as in Warcraft or Starcraft. Each has complete independent level up abilities, which means you can do whatever you want with them. You want your second character to be also mage, like the first one? Okay, alright. Fine, do it. You can level them up however you want. And on top of that, you have all these different factions and unique armies you can build on. In Spellforce 1, you had your typical good races and your typical bad races. So your good ones were humans, dwarves, and elves. On the dark side, you had orcs, trolls, and dark elves. In Spellforce 2, they simplified it from 6 down to 3 and pretty much combined them. So the light side became one complete part of a faction. So you just played the alliance, and that was your humans, elves, and dwarves all in one combined. Then you had pretty much like your tribals, which were the orcs, trolls, and those type of units. And then you had pretty much like the pact, as they called it. I believe they call it actually the shadow pact, and those were your dark side ones. So your dark elves and some shadow monsters, stuff like that. And when you play free play compared to the campaign, which was the first time introduced in the um, either first or second add-on of Spellforce 1, but now you just buy the Platinum Edition if you really want to play Spellforce 1. I would really recommend more Spellforce 2. It feels a little bit more hashed out because it was not just added in an add-on, but it was designed from the get-go as that. And the great thing about free play is it still has story mode. You still collect the quests, you level up your character, you collect additional heroes, and you can play all that online with a friend. So you get all the great things in the world. And there are also some maps where it's hero time only. You don't have an army, it's you and your heroes. That's it. And you have to pretty much quest through this map without building your typical base, without harvesting resources, without building an army. You just go in there with your at the start 2, later on 3, 4, 5, and I think the maximum size of heroes is 6, and you just gotta make your way through there. And that's what I love about it, is that it doesn't sacrifice strategy for lack of story or vice versa. You get the whole package, the whole format. Like you would be used to, like the story quality of StarCraft 2 and still having the strategy. Sure, that you don't have the hero building modules and stuff like that. It's much more RTS focused because, unlike Spellforce, StarCraft 2 is a competitive sport. It is an esport. It is loved in the community, And so obviously the balancing and all that has a complete different angle, where Spellforce was really made for, well, here's a single player game, but if you really want, you can have a full blast of joy with a buddy. And Spellforce, so the free play is pretty much limited up to 3 players, compared to your typical real-time strategy game like Warhammer 40k Dawn of War, where you can have like in the first game like up to 8 players. When Dawn of War 2 you had up to 6 players, and Dawn of War 3 they returned back to 8 players, I believe. And so in Spellforce, the free game, which is the most enjoyable experience for me, you only get up to 3 players, but you can solo it all. It might be a little bit harder or requires more management, but you can beat it solo. If you play with a friend or even 2 friends, they're going to be more enemies, and it's going to be a little bit tougher because the game adapts to how many players are here. Also, if you fail a map, it's not automatically game over. You still can keep everything you found. You still can, like, if let's say you succeed in one quest or the other, you still get the rewards for that. And then you can just redo the mission from scratch and do the quest that you failed. Um, Moving on from there to other real time strategies that I enjoyed a lot. I played a lot of hours the old Command Conquer series all the way up to Red Alert 3. I started back in the day with Tiberian Sun and Red Alert 2. And to be honest, not much changed as it went into 3D, like into Command Conquer 3, Tiberian Wars, Red Alert 3. Not much changed, except obviously in Red Alert 3 they put a huge focus on more naval. So you had more availability of sea units and flying units or hybrid units, like the introduced Tengus from the Rising Sun, which are basically Japanese forces. I mean, they dance around that. They don't dance around with the Allied forces and the Soviets, but there they kind of danced around it. Um, but and it went a little bit more sci-fi, which I think is because people loved Tiberian Wars and it was all blown out sci-fi. Because people who played Red Alert and Red Alert 2, it was more the Cold War, World War II era. And even though it had sci-fi elements like time travel, it was never that straight out like Red Alert 3, where you had just like those pew 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 lasers and all that going on. Um, and yeah, it's a lot to take in when you start with that, especially because Red Alert 3 got a lot more fast paced. I'm not sure if EA tried to get into the competitive market with that, but if you only have like 10-15 minutes a game and you really want to have a fast paced game, like Red Alert 3 is definitely a good choice, and so is StarCraft 2. Both games are very fast paced, and on the other side, obviously, it needs you to be also more on the reactive side and very quick reflexes. Um, on the other hand, one thing that I will give Red Alert 3 over StarCraft 2 all day is that it actually has a complete cooperative campaign, or rather, multiple campaigns, since for each one, like the Allied, the Soviets, and the Rising Sun, you can play the whole thing in a cooperative mode. In StarCraft 2, you only get a single player campaign. And so there's at least that. But if you're looking for more serious real time strategy game and that's better balanced, or you want to go competitive, you gotta go in StarCraft 2. It's especially popular in Korea, as some people might know. And the Asians definitely take the game a little bit more serious. I mean, they made stuff for us like Dark Souls. That comes from Software, which is a Japanese developer. They made Armored Core, which was also from Software as a developer, which is also much more on a more difficult level. And if anybody remembers the grind from the Final Fantasy and Breath of Fire games, I mean, that is a complete different piece of game. And it definitely shows in in the gameplay itself that it was made for a different market. And so you will definitely have still joy on it as long as you enjoy real-time strategy. But if you're looking for more golden old gems like that Andrew and I enjoyed a lot, um, you can try your luck trying to get Fatigue to work, which is a super old school real-time strategy game. Adds some very unique features like similar to how Spellforce made unique things. But Metal Fatigue, you could fight on multiple levels, which means as you're on one map, you actually have three different areas. You have subterranean, you have ground level, and you have orbit. And the other cool thing is you could make giant robots, mechs, mechas, Gundam-like, to be honest. A bit more clunky than Gundams. I mean, they're not flying around at like 600 miles per hour, but it is definitely a cool game if you like. If you want to try something new that you have never played before, Fatigue is available on Steam. Also, I think Good Old Games, so GOG.com has it too. And there is a whole dedicated Discord channel where people will help you how to make this work multiplayer online. So you can play with your friends or that community and arrange some games. Other than that, it has a very comprehensive campaign, three different campaigns, one for each faction. The factions have some unique availability. So, like Milagro, my favorites, they're the red dudes. They have like battle axes for their mechs, and that's better at cutting off body parts compared to Neuroper, which has like electro grab gloves, and so you shock the crap out of the enemy mechs, and it actually stuns them for a while, makes also more damage. And so there are unique components, but the really cool thing is if I take my axe wielding robot, go to your electro gauntlet guy, hack his arm off, and steal the arm with one of my building units, I can actually research it and start building my own electro gauntlets. And then you can have a mech where one arm is the axe and the other one is electro gauntlet. So he will like do like a axe slam, and then the next attack will be with the electro gauntlet. So there is much more dynamic behind it than you would give credit to old games like that. The only reason why there is no remake of it is actually licensing issues, but I won't even touch that. Go Google and have some fun with that. But Metal Fatigue is a game. If you love real-time strategies and you never heard about it or you never touched it, now is the time to dig it back out. Let's see. We also got, for you guys that love huge, massive battles where you basically lose sight of what the hell is going on, you have Supreme Commander and Supreme Commander 2. And that is pretty much a spiritual successor to the old school game Total Annihilation. It plays the pretty much same way, has the same resources, and what I mean with the same mechanics is like, for example, you have like factory level 1, 2, and 3. So you build like a first level factory, then you build a better worker, and then you build a levels 2 factory, then you build a level 2 worker, who then can now build the level 3 factory. And it is very macro economical, which means you have to manage a lot on huge scale. And so it comes down more to resource management and unit management when it comes actually down to skill. Like in Starcraft, Starcraft is a much more skill based game on how to move your units and all that. But Supreme Commander comes really down to having the superior logistics in terms of supply line, resource gathering, and planning your production and how fast you get it rolling. But if you love very long games and mass armies, that game is definitely gonna keep you engaged for dozens of hours, if not even hundreds. I mean, I played some rounds in Supreme Commander 2 that took me on a 4-on-4, so 3 games of mine against like 4 difficult AIs. That took us like maybe multiple days, and so there were points we had to save after like 4 hours. One of us had to leave. You just hit save, everybody leaves, and then the next day you just go right back at it. People might be familiar with this if you're especially a Stellaris player, Galactic Civilizations, um, and these other 4X games where Endless Legend and all that, which are more turn-based. They can take also multiple days, if not even weeks, until you're done. And Supreme Commander took a slice of that and brought that into real-time strategy. Another game, if you enjoyed that type of game, is going to be, oh god, of course, now the name escaped my mind. Um, it's it's a game where pretty much you fight from planet to planet, and they actually came up with a new version. It has Titans in the title, and I know this is like super unprofessional that I don't know the name right now on top of my head, but it's also great. And while there are so many different real-time strategy games, it really depends on your style what you will enjoy more. Because playing back in the day with my dad and my older brother back in Germany, we played a ton of crap. And like when I first played Tiberian Sun, I was blown away because I was so used to Final Fantasy, which was completely different as an RPG. Where I have my four guys, I kind of know what they do. They have their own special sets, and suddenly you have to build these bases and recruit soldiers and do all these resource management. It boggled my mind at the time, and as new games came along, like Spellforce, where you have to mine multiple resources, so you don't have to have wood, stone, and gold or something like that. You have to mine all sorts of stuff, especially as you progress in a technology tree. And so now you have much more resource management compared to StarCraft 2, where you just have one resource, which is the minerals. And obviously, supply limit, the whole you need more pylons, or you need more overlords, that kind of stuff. That's what people love to hear. And that's the other thing where you have to actually manage also what are you going to build. Like in Supreme Commander, you can literally have 20 factories and just keep spamming units until the game starts crashing because you have tens of thousands of units on the map. Same with Command and Conquer series, there is typically no unit limit. And so you can again tell that StarCraft is much more competitive by putting a supply limit on there, so that even if you're much further along than your competitor, you still can't just plainly overrun them. You still have to manage your logistics to some degree and how many units and which units you have at a time. When it comes to playing together, though, StarCraft 2 is beating every single game in the real-time strategy area by custom maps. If you played Warcraft 3 and were used to like the tower defense games, which or were MOBAs were actually born out of that, because there was the old Warcraft 3 map called Dota, Defense of the Ancients. And that was eventually then made later on, when technology caught on and the gaming trends caught on, was made into real games. So that's where we got League of Legends from, and where we got Dota from Steam from. That's what's called Dota 2, and why there's no Dota 1 from Valve, because Dota 1 was the Warcraft 3 map. And StarCraft 2 offers the same, if not even more, customization than the Warcraft 3 editor, with much more advanced technology. In terms of the editor, in terms of the performance it's designed for, in terms of graphic, how it looks. And you can be amazed once you start browsing in the arcade of what you can find. I mean, Blizzard made some games themselves, like custom maps, such as the Chef of Ayur, where you are basically playing a Protoss chef. Protoss are basically mouthless aliens, and you're playing one of these Protoss chefs against other players, where you have to gather ingredients and cook food. But it has a very Mario Party like minigame feel, because you can screw up the other cooks by stealing their ingredients they just gathered, or by manipulating them or disrupting their flow. So that puts definitely a unique twist on there. And the fact that you have so many community maps that you can play forever and ever and ever. I remember there was one map, it had such a great progression built in. I believe it was Minerals Wars, or it was called something Minerals. And I was so far along that I had reached like level 70 or 80. The average player I encountered was like level 10 to 40. And it was just so addictive and fun. And so that it was not even made by Blizzard. It was not even one of their features. It was a complete custom map. There was a tower defense, and I just loved it that much. And so you can find all sorts of stuff, tug of war games, where basically you just build a building and it keeps putting out automatically new units with every wave, and you try to beat the enemy's units by having the better buildings, upgrading your units, stuff like that. Then you have these party games that you can enjoy if basically you don't have a Switch or so for Mario Party, or you want to play online party games. They have that too, where you can play up to like 8 to 12 people or so and play a whole um, assortment of mini games, and whoever comes out on top the most is getting pretty much the best high score and is the winner of the night. So even though StarCraft 2 I definitely recommend for the competitive gamer, if you're looking to really go all out hardcore, you wanna win for the sake of winning, you can play that, but at the same time, you can definitely enjoy it also with a friend. For example, Andrew is not such a big fan of real-time strategy because he feels like pressured and rushed by the game, where he likes to more think stuff through slowly, which is why we play more 4X games or turn-based games like Endless Legend or Wargroove. And so you can play these fun maps and you don't feel pressured at all because like, so what if we lose? It's a fun game. Or you just play against like normal skirmishes against like a medium AI compared to like a hard or extreme one. And even people who just get started, or like a younger self, like when I was 12 or so, probably could have easily kept up. And you can always make it more interesting by playing 2 versus 3, 2 versus 4 against the AI. And so you can challenge yourself while your partner, who's maybe not as skilled as you, can have fun on their own level. Um, Other than that, on top of my head, there and on my notes here, I don't really see any other gems or so that I could recommend really on real time strategies. So just as a recap, Spellforce, if you love RPGs and you love real time strategy games, try it out. Or if you love either one, try it out. Um, then you have StarCraft 2 if you take games very serious or you want a super fun game, depending on what you're getting. You can go either way with this. It's also great for solo campaigns. I mean, it has now 3 campaigns: the Wings of Liberty Terran campaign, Heart of the Swarm Sir campaign, and I don't remember that, Legacy of the Void Protoss campaign. And all 3 of those combined, you're probably gonna get, I would guess, like 10 to 20 hours each out, if not more. So with all 3 campaigns, you get like 60 hours at least out of them, just out of the campaign missions, because it is that extensive. And if you would put a price tag of $60 on it, that means for every hour of fun you would get out of that, you pay only $1. I mean, that's cheaper than a movie. um, Other than that, well, let's see what else I talked about here. Supreme Commander. So if you like huge strategy games, that is definitely gonna be a candidate on your list. Um, and there, and that is really pretty much it. I guess for today's episode. Yeah. And next time, Andrew should join me again, and we will review more games. Also, Portal 2 winner from our last podcast, you should have received an email. So double check your email inbox, get back to us so we can confirm that you are a legit winner and that the email address is correct so that we can send a Steam code out to you as soon as possible so that you can start enjoying Portal 2 just like we did. I hope this was very helpful. Feedback, critique is very welcome. Join our Discord channel. Link is in the description. Subscribe to our email to join future raffles and giveaways. We might give away a copy of Spellforce or Starcraft, maybe in the near future. So join our mailing list on co-optics.com/subscribe. And other than that, I guess have a good day, evening, night, whatever it is. Just have a good time out there, all right?